Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Thrive in China Roundtable, our first one for 2023. Before I start, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope that everybody had a quiet and peaceful Christmas period and New Year period. We've come back with our Thrive in China Roundtable. We've got a whole series of topics lined up for Q1 already. And today's topic is going to be around access to clients in China. China is one of the best places in the world to locate a startup and or a subsidiary of a company due to its healthy economy, well, healthy-ish economy, hopefully coming out with open borders now. We'll fix that soon rather than later. There are attractive financial options, there's an impressive infrastructure, there's government support, and there's a client base that is readily available looking to buy. It's literally on the doorstep. Whether you are B2B or B2C, there is a client pool available in China. And not just a client pool that is looking to purchase from Chinese brands or Chinese companies, but it is a client pool that is available also to Western brands and Western companies. So let's break down in today's roundtable why China has such a strong pool of clients for any entrepreneur, any leader, any managing director that is looking to set up shop here. So why is China an attractive option? Well, we're going to go through a number of reasons. The first one being a ready-made client base. What makes China so enticing for startups, for company subsidiaries, is the opportunity to access ready-made client databases in a huge array of different markets, from real estate to technology to retail to manufacturing, engineering, oil and gas, etc. There are clients readily available, even in high-tech sector, in the digital landscape, etc. So this means that any well-prepared entrepreneur, startup, company can hit the ground running while knowing that they can target potential clients in virtually any sector, any industry in China. Now, I want to highlight the key word there. I'm saying well-prepared companies, well-prepared leaders. This means you still have to do your research to understand and obtain the potential client lists that are readily available, okay? Now, not only are these client pools well established in China, they are rich also in companies from overseas with that global reach. So a lot of people make the assumption that in China you have the localized companies that are available, but you also have these global multinationals that have set up operations in China that are still looking to work with the same suppliers that they have in other countries around the world. Reason number two is the multitude of opportunities that exist in China. And by opportunities, I mean networking opportunities. First of all, you have a pool of like-minded entrepreneurs. China attracts a large number of new business owners, whether mainland Chinese business owners or foreign business owners, especially currently under, I don't know what to call it right now. It's been 3 days since the border's been open, but let's say in the COVID times, especially in the digital and technology space. There have also been a myriad of different nationalities and business types providing excellent opportunities for targeting clients in specific sectors. There are also associations, chambers of commerce, industry associations that are providing opportunities to foreign companies to network and meet with potential clients in China. For those of you that are targeting high net worth individuals, and I will touch on this a bit later, there's a large number of high net worth individuals providing investment capital, as well as looking for foreign services within the Chinese market. Then there are industries that thrive in China's transient economy. And of course, there's the support from the government and other agencies specific to SMEs or startups that are helping them to also network and find the potential clients. Now, for me, these government agencies are specific towards industries and sectors where perhaps you are in the restrictive or prohibited side, so meaning that your industry is in the negative list, where these government agencies, these free trade zones, these promotion bureaus are looking for this foreign talent, this foreign leadership, this foreign IP to come in and explore the potential that's in the market. So to focus a little bit more on specifics in regards to where you can access this client or why China is so open to attracting foreign companies and getting them to come and invest because of this client pool, is really this entrepreneurial culture that has grown and developed within the last 5-6 years. There is a environment within China, and obviously we've all seen the number of unicorns that are existing now in the Chinese market. If you look at the top 10 unicorns of 2022, I believe 50% of them are from China. Just showing that there is this drive, this motivation, this skill set to be able to grow and scale your ideas and your creativity within the Chinese market. And this is, again, within any industry and sector, also, although predominantly within the digital and technology sector. Then you've got diversity. So I've been highlighting that digital and technology have been key industries and sectors in China, but there are diverse markets within China. Everything from manufacturing of communication equipment to automobile, electronics, steel, petrochemical, biomedicine. I was just on a call just now with a company that is in engine starting products, emission solutions, and producing equipment around fuel for the oil and gas sector. You obviously then have the consumer sector where you have actually individual brands that are coming into China, foreign brands that are coming into China. So there is a diverse market where even if you are in a very small niche, you will find that pool of clientele that is just waiting for you to appear, again, because of the technology and IP that you're bringing in that doesn't already exist in China. One cannot forget about how the high net worth individuals in China, and I want to look at this from two aspects. The first aspect is that you are looking for high net worth individuals to have as clients because they're looking to invest in real estate or other forms of assets abroad. The second aspect of high net worth individuals is actually looking for investors for your China business. So the advantage of having such a high pool available, I believe there's over 2 million high net worth individuals in China that are looking to invest in companies that are going to bring something to the Chinese market. And don't forget, they're not just acting as investors, they're also acting as that network for you to meet with that pool of clientele that's available. The transient advantage in China, well, obviously, entrepreneurs and companies looking within China can expect to benefit what is known as the transient advantage, where you can seize opportunities, exploit them, and then move on very quickly when that opportunity has been exhausted. This is the environment of agility in China, where you can move from one aspect to another as you're moving along within the Chinese market. So the big question that I get is, well, how do you find these clients in China? What concrete action can I actually take to start discussing with them, talking with them? Now, this presentation has been made mostly towards B2B companies, because if you are looking in the B2C world, right, it's all about marketing, media, getting your brand known, thinking about cross-border e-commerce and taking that avenue. But really the question is, from a B2B perspective, how can I find this client pool? If I'm new to the Chinese market, where do I start? Well, the first thing is the industry trade shows in China. The borders have opened up. since Sunday. There are no quarantine regulations, and the Chinese consulates all around the world, although they are still not providing tourist visas, are providing business visas for you to be able to travel and go in. Now, of course, with a lot of people having COVID at the moment, the frequency of flights has not picked up just yet because there's not enough manpower to staff the flights, but it's going to happen. You just have to be aware that there is COVID on the ground, have the expectation you might get COVID, and be prepared that this year, the expectation is that no industry trade shows will get canceled. So as the borders have opened up, take that advantage in 2023 to go and explore physically on the ground. Number one, how has the Chinese market changed with COVID, but also to meet new players that may have popped up in the last 3 years. If you don't go physically on the ground to do that, you might be losing out on a great opportunity. The second one is investigate and research membership in the actual trade organizations within China. I've provided one example here, which is the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers. It is actually considered a social network. Do not underestimate the value of developing Guangxi with the various people within the automobile sector, okay? Now, most likely, this can only be done if you've got a company registered in China, but perhaps you can obtain the company directory from the association, or ask to be introduced through B2B business matching services to meet with and discuss with other manufacturers. Also, don't undervalue B2B business matching services from chambers of commerce or from other such organizations. But you have to have a different mindset now. With the borders having been open, the expectation is if that there is going to be business matching services, that either a delegation will be going over to China, or alternatively, you will have to organize a business trip so that you can meet with these people face to face. The advantage of using this business matching service is that you are going through a filtering process with the chambers of commerce or other such organizations. I'll give you an example. The Hong Kong Trade Development Council offers this service of business matching, where you go through a filtering service of who you are looking for in terms of clientele. That means creating your client avatar for China and understanding who do you actually want to work with, and going really into the specific details, and then being introduced to individuals or companies that fit that avatar, that profile. That's a great first way of being given a client database and starting to make that initial contact. Another avenue is the B2B Tmall distributor database, which a lot of people aren't fully aware of because for them, Tmall is brands and it's cross-border e-commerce. Tmall has developed this B2B distributor database. I believe it has now over 100,000, if not 150,000 contacts in a variety of different industries and sectors. You do need to pay a subscription, obviously, to enter within it, but then you are obtaining that information. Together with that, I find that more of a trend now versus utilizing the Hong Kong Trade Development Council database or utilizing the Alibaba database, just because I feel like this is more current, and I don't know how current and updated the HKTDC or the Alibaba sites actually are. Obviously, whenever you are being introduced to somebody, the advantage with the chambers of commerce and other such organizations is that they vetted them. When you're doing this research on your own and going through distributor databases on your own, you kind of have to do that vetting process yourself. Obviously, then you have word of mouth referrals. Now, I've been asked many times by overseas real estate companies and other such organizations, you know, I want to get a list of the high net worth individuals in China. Well, that list doesn't exist. Okay, it's personal and private. But I said, if I were you, I would create a referral network of wealth managers in China and start meeting every single one in the various provinces and departments to introduce you, what you do, what the projects are, so that they can then go to their clients and say, I've got something interesting for you to invest in. Okay. And by finding out who those wealth managers are, because that's then the word of mouth referral, to find out who the wealth managers are, it's reaching out to the banks, getting personnel directories, or just looking on LinkedIn, or doing Weibo research or Baidu research to find out who they are. Then you've got entrepreneur organizations. So this is really specific to startups, people who've got an idea, a creative idea that they want to explore for the Chinese market and would fit with the Chinese market, are organizations like China Accelerator, where they bring together a pool of startups who have ideas, and they are then mentored by over 100 or 200 different mentors, both local as well as foreign, that are based in China. And this is a great way, through that mentorship program, and it's again by word of mouth, being referred on to investors, onto clients, and having that client introduction. So don't, again, underestimate the entrepreneurship organizations. Keep in mind that the role of chambers of commerce, as well as overseas associations like the China-Britain Business Council, are also there to not only do this business matching service, but to do these introductions as well to potential clients. And then last but not least, is your existing clientele that you have in your own home jurisdiction, understanding, are they expanding to China themselves? And saying, if you are expanding to China, should we be following you? Okay, because you don't want them to find other providers. You want to say, if you're expanding to that market, I'll follow you. I will make sure that I will be one of your suppliers as well. So it's reaching out and having that conversation with your clientele and saying, where are you going? Are you going to China? Are you expanding there? How can we support you? Do you need us to be local for us to support you there? Now, the B2B landscape in China has changed for foreign investors. B2B customers are very dependent on the company industry, the company sector. However, there are several trends that most B2B businesses should take note of, particularly on the marketing side when marketing to clients. When comparing B2B marketing and B2C marketing in China, of course, this depends on the industry, it depends on the sector. B2B does require a more strategic, targeting, niche effort as to the companies that they're trying to reach out to. As opposed to B2C, which is a broader audience, a broader landscape of targets, okay? The B2B customers usually take longer when making their decisions, require a complete understanding of the product or service that you are providing to them. And as a consequence, the B2B marketing efforts need careful management at each touch point with potential clients. And I will go through with you the customer journey in China of how that actually looks like. Some of these touch points can include first getting in contact with potential clients, engaging them through content marketing, which is very much undervalued in the B2B sector, educating them on the value add of your products, of your services, and then finally understanding how you can convert them into clients, whether there has to be a discount strategy in place, whether you need to beat out your competitors by price. And obviously this then relates to doing your competitor benchmarking and understanding what are your competitors doing, educating yourself on their products and their services so that you know how you differentiate yourself in the market. Now, the key thing that we have found in the last 3 years is that to reach the B2B customers, testimonials are of vital importance, which you might say, well, I have no clients in China. How do I create these testimonials? You've got to be creative in that avenue, and maybe you need a marketing company to support you in developing that program, as well as internal resources, such as understanding the company's culture, vision, mission, so that you can bring that ethos out to your customers. One thing that I have found over the last 3 years because of the border controls is the vital importance of having customer support, either through BD department, sales department, or after sales department, where you have somebody on the ground who is nurturing and taking care of the client, okay? Being able to answer immediately, being able to fulfill whatever questions they have, because what you want to achieve in China is recurring business. I had another call today with a potential client who said to me that 85% of their business is recurring revenue, meaning that they have such a solid relationship with their existing clientele. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's not a B2C business. This is a B2B business. And they've got 85% recurring revenue. Phenomenal. It means that their product quality is there, and their clients, their distributors want to continue working with them because of the customer service that they've been offering on the ground. So to show you a little bit what the B2B customer journey looks like in China. Obviously, first you've got that initial contact and introduction. This is a getting to know you scenario. And either you do that via Zoom or you've got to do that on the ground in China. Then the customer is going to do research on you. What content can they find about you? Or are they going to look at video testimonials or references from your clients? Are they going to ask for samples to research your product and test your product? There's going to be a level of research that they're going to do, because to either change suppliers or work with different companies, it's going to take quite an initiative, and they may have to get approval from their higher ups to be able to start working with you. So they're going to do their own PowerPoint presentation to evaluate you. So there's this evaluation that gets done. And if you already can pass the first 3 stages, they're going to ask you for a formal request for proposal, i.e., what are your fees for a specific quantity or amount or service that is required. Hopefully then they're happy with that price, but do expect in that formal RFP to take some time with a back and forth discussion. And that's where then the strategy comes in. Are you going to provide discounts for first purchases? How are you going to entice them to sign with you? And for that, you might find that you have to do repeat visits to their offices to meet with them, have dinners, etc., in order to be able to nurture that relationship. Then hopefully thereafter, you are doing, they're purchasing from you. You've got your first transaction in the books. Thereafter, it's the customer service relationship. And you've got to then make a decision, is the sales and BD side different from the customer service side? My suggestion then, if it is different, is to bring that customer service rep into those sales meetings so they also get familiar with knowing who they're going to continue working with so that they can become repeat customers. Okay. Then obviously you've got the repurchase or restart of the customer journey with the B2B company. All right. Now, one thing I want to highlight, and I hope the biggest takeaway that you can get away from today's session in terms of accessing your clients, is that historically, back in the day, 20 odd years ago, distributors were hungry for business. They were begging to represent foreign companies in China. And they just said yes to anything. They didn't evaluate, they didn't do research or background on the company, nothing like that. 20 years later, and particularly in the last 3 years, times have certainly changed. Distributors are full of clientele, some of which they want to lose, some of which they want to gain. And they are now doing much more evaluation and kind of background checks on you as a company. So content marketing, in order for them to find information about you, is of vital importance in the B2B world in China. It's developing content around your product, around your mission, around your vision, around your service, your technology. It's demonstrating to them through your content how you can fulfill their business needs on an ongoing basis. Okay. Now, compared to the B2C world, websites are not really relevant. In the B2C world, companies need to create their flagship, their flagship stores become their website, right? Become their calling card. Websites in China for the B2B sector are still of vital importance, particularly having a Chinese website that is hosted in China, easily accessible, providing full information around, again, your company background, providing insight about the individuals, that are responsible, the how would you say this? The decision makers, if you will, that are responsible. It's always nice to have a couple of foreign and Chinese faces on there to show that it's a mixed culture. You don't want to lose the foreign brand, but you also want to show that you're localized, because that is what their research is going to be. It's going to be looking at your website in China to see that you are already in China. The next is making sure that you have company accounts on WeChat and that you are posting on WeChat. Now, a lot of B2B companies, as they get developed in the Chinese market, they do start developing mini programs where customers can quickly contact, they can report issues. It's kind of the customer service platform, if you will. But even before you get customers, you need to use WeChat to develop your brand and have your company set up a WeChat page, mini program, so that you're starting that process and you're connecting with people automatically. Another platform to think about is Zhihu, which is the equivalent of QAnon. Basically, you have Q&A features on there. It is a trustworthy platform. It is where people go to gain knowledge. And you should be on there if people are posting about your product, about your service, not about your product, but about your industry, about your sector, that you're quickly on there to showcase your expertise and show how you can actually help them. The most important is that you want to be on the first page of Baidu. Baidu is the Chinese search engine, equivalent of Google. You want to make sure that the keywords that your clients are utilizing to research companies in your field, your industry and sector, that you are popping up on the first page, okay? And the key is making sure that you become relevant on those pages, that it's not that it's negative publicity, but that it's positive publicity. Toutiao is another rising star in China. I think the key thing here that I want to highlight is that a Toutiao user spends 84 minutes per single day reading news and getting content. It is, again, very much directed for B2B users. So please make sure that you think about that as another channel as well. Another one is using online magazines or blogs. Again, it's about how do you get onto that first page when people are typing in the keywords related to your industry and sector. And don't forget also about the Tmall B2B. Now, the question obviously is, do you have the resources, the manpower resources to facilitate all of this type of marketing initially? Do you have the financial capabilities also to do certain advertising on certain platforms, etc.? The key thing is making sure that you do your market research, you find out the right target market that you want to work with, okay? Understand how you're going to get that traffic to your website or to the various content that you're building up. Usually creating content is just manpower, right? The question is then, where do you post that content? How do you use that content? Where is it being shown if people start researching you for it? So it's really, really important to make sure that you're tailor-making this marketing strategy for your business. Now, when compared to international markets, China's digital transformation has occurred at a much faster pace, causing many B2B companies to adapt their marketing practices to be going digital. Now, with the borders open, I do feel like that the offline marketing is still of importance value, i.e. hitting the road, going out there and meeting potential clients face-to-face. Might not be happening right now with COVID, although there are no regulations in China. If somebody has COVID, they are, since Sunday, free to roam around. That's why it's spreading so fast. There is no requirement of staying at home for 5 days or 7 days. None of these isolation requirements. Basically, if you've got COVID and you feel well, you can still roam around the country and move around, which means that salespeople should be hitting the road and meeting with clients face-to-face. I think the biggest takeaway is, from a marketing perspective, to create this hybrid approach, keeping in the back of your mind that your customers in China are going to research you. Is there enough content in China to for them to read through, to understand your background, understand a little bit your history in the Chinese market, your current success in the Chinese market, so that they can evaluate whether they want you to become a new supplier of theirs or a new supplier of theirs. So that's the generic function of accessing to clients. This is a lot of homework, but I want to highlight that there is tremendous opportunity on the ground. The client today that I spoke with, they are in 3 product lines that are all very similar within the same industry, within the same sector, but 3 very different product lines. And only 1 product line is so far being sold in the Chinese market. They haven't even considered yet, because of a lack of manpower and financial resources, to even explore the potential of the other 2 product lines that they have. So it's just to say that, you don't have to go into China with your 100 SKUs. You can go into China with your 1 or 2 SKUs based on market research that you've done, highlighting what would be the most valuable product to bring in first, and start with that. Start small, take baby steps, develop that client network, and then start expanding your horizons into your other product lines. The reason I spoke with this client today is because they've actually been approached by an OEM in China who is saying to them, we want to work with you. We want to make you a supplier of ours. But if we do over a certain amount of purchases from you, the value anyway was about over $500,000 per year, we need to be able to work with you on a local basis. Meaning they're being forced now by a potential client to actually set up a subsidiary in China to start really kicking this off and localizing their business. Don't forget now that as of 2025, China is making this push for companies to localize their businesses and work with local suppliers. Local suppliers means companies that are registered in China. It does not mean that you are a foreign company in China that they won't work with you. So these might be certain triggers for you in the next 2 years to evaluate the market and say, actually, we will get more of a return on investment and acquire more clients if we actually have a physical presence in China with which they can then locally transact with. All right. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight in how to access clients in China, what considerations you have to make when accessing these clients. Obviously, it takes a lot of research, a lot of manpower to get these client lists and start contacting each one and doing that, those initial contacts and introductions. But I have to say, with borders now being officially opened, this is your opportunity to shine. Now, in this call, because they heard me present yesterday, I was saying that I personally won't be traveling to China until after the summer holidays to evaluate what the situation is actually on the ground, has COVID dissipated, and how it looks like. But I am not in any rush, right? I've got my client database. I'm secure. I'm okay. I've got my team on the ground that's also facilitating this. They have been pushed by their sales agent to now make a trip, start investigating the market. Sales agents want to take them on a existing client tour and potential client tour, because ultimately these clients want to see the business owners. They want to see that foreign face representing the company to showcase their products and their services in China. Now that the borders are open, that will be the expectation of many clients in China, that now you'll take the plunge and fly over. Okay, so don't underestimate that either. I hope for those of you that have shown up live that this has helped you. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please put them in the chat box. If you want to highlight to me what your biggest takeaway was from today, that would be wonderful as well. So there's one specific question around, do you have any special info about neurobiology? This is very, very, very specific. I do not have market research or data on clients about neurobiology. I'm also not a market research specialist. So how to go about that and how to attract the clients in that specific niche, my first step would probably be to go to the chambers of commerce or your country association to get that insight and to understand what that market looks like, who are the clients that you can attract to. So I always use the Chambers of Commerce and Associations as my first point of contact, because they will have business advisors that are specific to certain industries, whether it's pharmaceutical, healthcare, cosmetics, food and beverage, education, etc. So that's always a good starting point to go to those specific experts. I hope that has helped you. The second step would actually be to use Baidu as a search engine and start reading up on materials when you do type in neurobiology and see what comes up as well. If there are any other questions, please do type them in. And I will get to them. Just to finish off today's presentation, just a brief info about how you can work with us. We are a corporate services firm in China. Ultimately, what we do in terms of services is provide all administrative services around setting up and operating entities within the Chinese market. We're not a marketing firm. Today was just insight on what type of marketing you have to do in order to attract customers in China. We've implemented a lot of those marketing strategies ourselves as well since COVID. But I'm not a marketing manager or a business development expert. What we are doing is really just the corporate services side of companies that operate in China. If you've got any questions about our services, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're interested in learning more about how to enter the Chinese market or set up your own business, then you can reach out to me at christina@woodburnglobal.com, and I would be happy to have a conversation with you specific to your business on what options exist, what business models exist, and how you can move forward in China. And there's still no other questions that have popped in. So just to finish off today, it's to highlight what upcoming topics are coming within the roundtable. Next week, we're going to be talking about the importance of having a solid accounting knowledge for China. Then we're going to be talking about customer retention. Does customer satisfaction outweigh customer loyalty? We're going to be talking about online content licensing. Then the price is right. What does it take to have a proper cost structure in China? And then we're going to be talking about managed office spaces in China. What's the smarter option if you are starting up your business there? I will be promoting all of the topics we have for Q1. But again, for those of you that are watching all the way through, if you've got any topics that you would like us to touch on, the roundtables are generic, not industry specific. It would take too much time to do very much industry specific topics. Then it would be difficult. Just one point that came to my mind about the neurobiology, you may also want to contact the EU SME Center. The EU SME Center provides detailed market research about niche services, niche industries, niche sectors. So I would reach out to them as well to see if they can help you in regards to client access or even B2B business matchmaking services. In the meantime, no other questions have popped up, so I will hang on for another couple of minutes, but I do want to thank you very much for joining. This was a quick start to the new year, and there will be the recording that will come available as well by the end of this week. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Irina, for joining. Take care and goodbye.